What do you bring to the table? Do you realize how interesting you are? Experiences, interests, activities, passions, relationships, they say a lot about who you are, the risks that you are willing to take. Even if you were those things in another life, layers, they don't go away. Even if your day-to-day isn't that interesting, that's okay. It's who you are, not what you do that makes you interesting. Doing things add to it, but you can always add more. Are you curious? What do you think about? What's your perspective? What have you done in the past, and what drove those actions and experiences? All of that makes you interesting. So I have this client, and he doesn't think that he's very interesting. In fact, his life isn't necessarily full. He doesn't have many activities. He honestly doesn't have many friends, and he thinks that he's boring. But he is actually a very interesting person. He is. His life today might not be interesting, but he is interesting because of who he is, where he's been, what he's done, what his interests are. He's retired, he's a little bit older, and he used to live a very full life. He used to fly around on private jets. He had a company that he sold. He dated rock stars, like actually rock stars. He had some problems with addiction. He got better. He has done a lot, good and bad, and he accepts it all. And now he hangs out with his dogs, and he has a pretty calm, peaceful life. And when we started working together, he said, you know, Laurel, the problem is that I don't know why anyone would want me because I'm so boring. I don't have anything to bring to the table. And I thought, are you out of your fucking mind? You are not only extremely smart, your life, your perspectives are fascinating because of everything that you have done. And he thought, well, but I don't do anything today. And does that make it so that I'm going to be needy because I'm waiting for someone to come into my life so that I can start doing activities with them? And I said, you know, my life is boring too. I don't do that much. You know, I work, I take care of my kids, I work and take care of my kids, and that's about it. So the truth is that where you've been, what you've done, what your interests are, the books that you've read, the places you've gone, the people you've interacted with, those contribute to who you are, and that doesn't go away. Even if today you're not so interesting, that's okay. All of those things, they make you memorable as long as you talk about them, as long as you present them. They also help to define your values. What is your life experience resume? What are the strengths that you gained from being a mom, a volunteer, from having your business in the past, from not doing much at all? There are things that you have done, even if you think it's nothing. What do you bring to the table no matter what? And how do those things translate into benefits for someone who you're dating? So here's an actual example from a client. So someone else who's like, I don't bring anything to the table. So we started going through who he is, what he does. So he said, well, I have talent. Well, that brings nothing to the table. And I said, yes, it does. Creative thinking, creative dates, conversation is going to be interesting. You bring a different perspective. Your perspectives should be valued because you are valuable. So you're successful. Well, what does that do? What does that make you bring to the table? Well, she's proud of you. Or he is proud of you. They want to show you off. You're arm candy, but in a different kind of way. You don't just have to be hot to be arm candy. You could be successful. You could be interesting. You could be funny. You could be whatever it is that they value and that you value. You have to value it too. So you're stylish. Okay, well, what does that bring? How am I bringing anything to the table just because I'm stylish? You're unique. Your uniqueness shows creativity. It shows effort. Effort makes someone think, oh, they're going to be interesting on dates. Look at this outfit. They're probably going to put some effort into our date. You're edgy. Well, what does that mean? What does that bring to the table? Well, you have some swagger. You're confident, and you're going to make me feel confident in you. Well, I have money. And what does that do? She or he might feel safe, might feel taken care of, might feel special. You have boyish charm. So, okay. How is that bringing something to the table? You're adorable. You're so sweet. And sweetness is actually very valuable. You're attractive. Okay. And they're proud of you. They like to tell people about you. They like to show off your photos. So this client of mine, we were talking on video Skype, and because of his attitude, I thought that he was physically petite. Turns out he's 6'2", because he plays so small. I had no idea that he was tall. And he thought, well, what does that have anything to do with it? Why would someone be attracted to me because I'm 6'2"? Well, it's your energy. If you play small, no one's going to know. But if you put yourself out there as someone who is, yes, successful and creative and interesting, you're going to be big. You have calming energy. Well, that's actually great because she needs to feel calmed sometimes. So you don't always have to have this big energy. You don't always have to be huge. It feels good to be with someone who's calm and who can balance her out. You're kind. Well, that's going to make her feel safe. You have empathy. Make her feel safe. You're positive. That makes her happy. You're someone who's encouraging. Well, you're like a cheerleader. You can support her. You can make her feel seen. You're loyal. So you make her feel safe. You make her feel like she can express herself through her stories. You have a high moral compass. That it makes her feel like she can trust you because she understands your morals. You're intelligent. You have good taste. You're well-mannered. All of these things contribute to who you are and to what you bring to the table. Someone who's well-mannered, they know they can take you out. They can take you out to events with friends, with your boss, with your parents. You're generous. Well, of course I want someone who's generous. That doesn't mean that you have to buy me everything. That could mean that you're emotionally generous. You're thoughtful. You're going to think of me. You're going to think about those in-betweens. And those in-betweens, those are the breath in a relationship. They are absolutely essential. You're compassionate. You get me. You can feel me. I don't feel alone. You're creative. You're ambitious. You're a good learner. A good learner. Well, yay. That means that when I say something, you're listening. You're going to remember. When we go to the museum, you're going to read all the signs. And later when I say, I don't understand what that was, I can't remember, you're going to tell me exactly what I was looking at. And you have humility. Now, this is a client who, when we first started going over his list of who he is, what he brings to the table, he said, I don't bring anything to the table. Well, when we started to break it down, we realized that he brought a lot to the table. And you know what? So do you. So stop dismissing yourself. Stop marginalizing. Stop pretending that you don't have anything and that you aren't someone that someone else would want, because you are. If you don't find you interesting, then go out and become interesting. Take classes. Be interesting. Take action. Only you can make yourself interesting. So what's missing? Well, make it happen. Yourself. Only then will you attract in someone who you find interesting. Interesting, engaged people want to meet other interesting, engaged people. Interested and interesting. Those are two extremely sexy elements in a relationship. Or maybe change how you view yourself, like my client needed to do, because chances are you already are interesting. So, for example, I have a client who likes to play computer games like Star Wars, and that's how he relaxes. For him, it's story-driven. He likes to play with his kids, and he said one time, the family that sits together sticks together, which I didn't get, but once he explained it to me, I got it. And it's that humor that's important. It's that humor that shows other people who he is, because he does bring something to the table. And maybe it's not something to the table that I want, but it's something to the table that someone else is going to want. You don't want everyone to want you. You want the right people to want you. So be honest with you about those little things. This client of mine who is the family that sits together, sticks together. He also was someone who said, I bring nothing to the table. I don't like to go out. I'm not adventurous. You read online dating profiles and everyone's talking about, I like the great outdoors. I like to go hiking. I like to travel. And he's like, I don't like any of that shit. I like to be at home with my kids playing video games. That's what I like to do. I like to have game night. I like to make dinner together. I like to just hang out. I like to garden. Great. If that's who you are, great. If you're a homebody, great. Don't go and be with someone who likes to be out all the time. Do you know how many people are homebody? I am. I almost never leave my house. And that's okay. You want to attract in the right people. So admit who you are. Don't try and be anything else. You know, something else that another client said, well, when it comes to the holidays, I totally spoil my kids. And he felt embarrassed to be that person because he didn't think that that shows anything but superficial values. And I said, no, let's look at it differently. Let's flip it over. So you like to spoil your kids during the holidays. Well, why? And he said, well, because on Christmas when I was growing up, I remember that my dad would spoil us, and that was the one time that we got a lot of great stuff, and that made me close to my dad. And Christmas is, for me, the most important holiday because for me it means family. And I love to give presents because I love to see how happy I make them. It's not about me getting presents. I love them to have them. And I don't give presents throughout the year because I'm also teaching the values of anticipation and patience. And I like them to have something to look forward to. And I said, so why don't you think that that means nothing? Why do you think that it means that you don't bring anything to the table? And he realized, oh, because I was told in the past that that was superficial and stupid. So if someone in the past has fucked your brain up to make you think that what you bring is not good enough, then fuck them. Because who you are and your quirks and the way you live your life makes you interesting and makes you worthy and makes you valuable. And if someone doesn't see your value, then they are not for you. But you need to see your value first, or else they never will.